welcome to GeekGirlCon Book Club. And today, on this glorious Tuesday, I'm totally going to be a fangirl and geek out over the book because it is Sir Terry Pratchett and Mr. Neil Gaiman. I don't think he's a sir yet.
He should be.
He should be, yes. So let's go around the little table and everyone can introduce themselves and why you love these people, these authors.
I'm Christina, pronouns she or they, and I love them because they are like elf people and they're very, very clever and funny.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Emerald, pronouns she, her, and same, what Christina said.
Everyone loves elves.
Yeah.
We were all raised by Keebler. No.
Yes, I live in a tree. It's fine.
I wish I lived in a tree.
Same.
Let's be like, I'm pretty sure Terry Pratchett would have lived in a tree for sure. I'm Jenn, pronouns she, they, and I love Terry Pratchett so much I can't even describe. He really took me out of a very deep transition of depression and not knowing where I fit in life with his whole Discworld series. And then through him, I actually learned about Neil Gaiman, who I can't say enough about. And one day he will watch our stream. I know he will. If he's watching now, that's kind of creepy. But one day he will watch it.
It sounds like a threat, but I think he'd be fine with that.
I mean, I'll just make you pancakes. It's not like a real threat. You do have to eat my cooking though.
Bribe accepted.
I'll make you guys pancakes anytime you want. You don't have to be.
Yes. Take that, Neil Gaiman. We get the pancakes whenever we want.
Whenever. When do you get pancakes from Jen?
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to be shaped like gravestones. Haha.
Oh, I like that.
As long as they're not shaped like Neil Gaiman's face, that would feel weird.
Yeah, I would feel a little bit guilty about that.
Yeah. I feel like we should do like GeekGirlCon of like how to make pancakes of famous people's faces.
Mine would definitely be cursed. They would be cursed pancakes. That's all I can say.
They're like voodoo pancakes. We've immediately got off topic, and I love it.
Oh, yeah.
This is why they gave us questions, guys.
Oh, everybody wants the pancakes. The pancakes are already very popular.
They're very popular,
pancakes. So, yeah, I mean, I did get questions. But I'm going to summarize a lot of them because Jannae, thank you for sending them in. Thank you. But yes. So what was y'all's like overall opinion of the book? Did you get to finish reading it? Did you love it? Emerald, go first.
Yeah, I loved it. So I saw the show, the Amazon show, before I read and I was like, oh, I love this. This is great. Oh, a book? Yes, please. It's so unusual that I like see a filmed version of something before I read the book. So that was kind of a fun rewind thing to do. And then it's always exciting because you're like, oh, just more details. I feel like when it's the other way, if you read the book first and then see like a movie or a TV show, you're kind of like disappointed, like, oh, they left out my favorite part. But then if you see the filmed thing first, then it's like, oh, it just goes more into depth and you get more, perspective.
It's added magic.
Yes, added magic. And what was the question? I've already forgotten.
Like, what did you think about it overall, the film?
Oh, okay. Overall, I liked it, of course.
How many pancakes would you give it?
How many pancakes would I give it? 10. 10 out of 10 pancakes.
All right.
What I liked a lot about it was it's just kind of like flippant, casual humor. And then I also liked to kind of read through it and look for like the different writing styles between the two authors. So I thought that was really kind of fun to add another level to the reading of it. That's my answer.
Christina, do you have an answer?
Yeah, I loved it, and you know what? I would agree. I would agree on the 10 out of 10 pancakes. I what I enjoyed about it is I've only read a little bit by each author separately. And I enjoyed both of them. I want to read more Terry Pratchett. I definitely enjoyed his The Color of Magic. But that was, that's only the beginning. But in any case, what I loved about this was that it just sort of, speaking of magic, I felt like it combined kind of their unique flavors into one really powerful, word
Super
spell.
flavor.
Yeah, I'm mixing my metaphors here. Magic word spell with flavors. But I just really enjoyed like that combination. I also watched the show first, but it was long enough ago that I just kind of I didn't hold them like compare them against each other too much because I couldn't remember a whole lot. Although I did have like David Tennant in my head as Crowley the whole time, but it didn't hurt anything. So
Having
Oh no,
David
darn.
Tennant in your head. Whoa. That's so bad.
oh no.
Not David Tennant.
Oh, Do the Jump says it's prose alchemy.
Ah, that there you go.
Tasty,
Well,
tasty prose alchemy.
Prose Alchemy gets 5 out of 10 pancakes. No. So I actually read the book first because I was reading when I lived back in Texas. My friend Bree and I would meet up and we would either watch British mystery shows together or we'd get a book and we eat a bunch of cheese and like meats and drink mimosas and talk about all the British mystery shows or K-dramas or the books that she was reading. And the first Terry Pratchett book she gave me was I think it was The Color of Magic. No. It was Guards. That's the one. And I read it and I was like, that's hilarious. And then I just dove right in. And I'm a little biased, but my favorite is The Witches, Granny Weatherwax and Drunken Granny Og. And Neil Gaiman happened to come along. And the first one I read from him was American Gods, which is,
Ah,
yeah, pretty
long.
intense and deep to, to dive into.
Yes.
And it took me a good 6 months to read it because it was just one of those books. I was like, I have to put you down for a second and I have to go do some read a fun book. And when I got done reading that, I was like, okay, so the next book was Neverwhere, which is way fun and totally different. And then when I found out that they wrote together, and not only they wrote together, they were like BFFs and they like helped each other write. My little fangirl heart like exploded into just like happiness.
Aww.
And that book, like I actually reread the book for book club and then like 2 weeks later reread it again, not because of anything, but like when life, like when life is like getting you down and like everything's happening, you're just like, my 2 books to turn to are Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Good Omens. So I got like just naturally picked up and read it again. And then I read about like how they stayed here in Seattle for like a writer's con back in the 90s, and that's how they came up with Good Omens 2. And their whole time writing this together was amazing, and I love comparing the writing styles because they're different, similar but different. And I just love all the different characters, and I thought it was really awesome. And there's a lot of crisscross between Discworld into this book, which is fun. So yay. Did you guys have any particular favorite characters, Christina, that you like absolutely related to or that you thought, the book could do without?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I Anathema's great. I think just the witch in the picture is pretty great, and following the prophecies of Agnes Nutter, and I do love that and her whole dynamic with Newt. I mean, I think all the characters bring something kind of special, so it's hard to pick like one favorite. But and just the way they all play off of each other is kind of the most enjoyable part, rather than like any one character for me. So yeah, I don't know, all of them.
Well, I
Favorite
do have
character?
to ask
All of
this.
them.
Yeah. Would you guys, if you read a prophecy saying that you were going to sleep with this certain person, would you still do it?
She took it as such a like
Probably.
matter of course. She was like, "Well, this is what it says, so we gotta."
we only do it one time.
That's
Only
it.
once. Yeah.
That's it. I was like, I don't know if I would do it. Like, I would feel like a rebel, and I don't know if I'd sleep with them. Like,
Well, I feel like it would depend on how attracted to them I was.
yeah. Just drink a lot of mimosas before.
But then I would kind of feel like that stubborn, rebellious vibe and be like, well, even if I was, I'd be like, well, the book says I'm gonna, so no.
Yeah, I have a feeling that she could have just like said that the prophecy could be interpreted some other way if she didn't actually want to. She would have been like, "No,
Mhm.
that's not what it means. You're just reading it wrong. Sorry."
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
Olga would
different
say,
interpretation. It's all metaphor, so
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
talking about meeting.
yeah.
But Emerald, who was your favorite characters?
Um, I mean, that's so hard to choose. I feel like I like Anathema as well because yeah, she's just like kind of like a nerdy witch lady, and I feel like I relate to that. But I also relate to both Aziraphale and Crowley, so I'm like, it's like that it's like that Tumblr meme where it's like, oh, I can't decide who I identify with because I'm a neurotic mess who loves plants, but also I want to just eat food and read books and make people leave me alone. Uh, it's like
Relatable.
relatable. I want to be both of those. I feel like both of those things all the time.
I
So,
eat while I stare at people.
yeah, I'm just like, don't touch my books, you know. So yeah, I mean, I feel like all the characters really bring something to the table, and so yeah, I mean, I'm just copying Christina with the answers today. So
Cheers.
it's like when in doubt, just say yeah, same, ditto.
It just means that, we have a similar taste or similar
Yeah, great
preferences. Yeah.
minds think alike. So
Exactly. That's why
Exactly.
we're all
yeah.
in a little chat room together, guys.
Mhm. That's why we're
We're
all like, oh yeah, we'll
we're
be
all
talking about this book.
geniuses. I mean,
It's
Oh
true.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I will
What about you,
say,
Jen?
Yeah, tell us, Jen, who's your
Tell
favorite
us.
character?
I don't know. I was like, but
No
I was gonna
copying.
say, I know, right? Like, I can't copy now, but
You
no.
can.
It was what really did it for me with the characters. Like, I loved reading. If it was just reading the book, I would have to say Madame Tracy.
Madam Tracy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just thinking, you know what?
Madame Tracy, and then when of course the witch, I love her. But then when I saw the actors, and you see Michael Sheen, and you see Tennant, and then the guy that played Shadwell, the witch hunter, like by far, like my I still run around the house screaming like the den of inequity, like you, and like the stuff they used to call her, like you harlot.
Yeah, Jezebel. Like,
Yeah. And I still say those things all the time. So he easily became my favorite after I saw this series because I was like, oh my God, like this is the typical like witch hunter male and then falls in love with the Jezebel. And
mhm.
but Agatha Nutter was great. Newt was awesome in both the book and the show. But I have to say that Adam Young really took it for me in the book. But then when I watched the show, the female, oh, what is her name? The female kid who went up against war. Can't remember
Eh,
her.
Pepper? Or
Pepper.
Pepper,
is that her name in the
yeah.
show too? I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
She easily became one of my second favorites on the TV show because
Yes.
she's just amazing. Like
She,
her,
yeah, Cheek. Yeah, she was dope.
she was so cool. So it did have like a lot of that. Like I really have to think about book versus TV show. And now that we're on this nice little transition to that topic, what did you guys think about the book compared to the TV show? I know we mentioned it a little bit in the beginning, but like what were some things that really, like you can read a book and then you watch the show and you're like, oh, and it just kind of all clicks in your head. Did any of those moments happen with the book and the TV show? I don't care who does
Mm.
Well, we saw the show first,
it. Right.
so
But then you read the book, so we're like, were there moments where, like, in the book, you're like, oh, this makes so much more sense because I saw the show, and like, if you didn't see the show, maybe this wouldn't have made so much sense.
Well, I mean, this isn't really a serious example, but the part in the book where they describe Aziraphale as being like gayer than a bunch of monkeys on nitrous or something. I was like, that explains a lot of Michael Sheen's acting choices, and I'm here for it.
I love Michael Sheen so much.
Yeah, like I don't remember that much. I mean, what stood out to me is that I felt like they did a pretty good job of capturing a lot of the humor or the tone of the book in the TV show, because I was like,
Mhm.
this just it wasn't nothing about the book was like jarring. I didn't feel
Mhm.
like, oh wow, this is really, this is nothing like it or anything like that. I felt like I got what I expected going into the book, which was, like that kind of sometimes cynical but still light humor that was everywhere, even on dark topics sometimes. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
that carried over well.
I liked the I felt like the book went into more detail about the four horsemen, which I liked. So I thought that was cool, and it made since the show didn't really give a lot of time because it couldn't to their backstories and stuff. I thought that was a cool expansion for me.
About famine in the book, and then seeing them on the show really kind of put two and two together, because like in the book you're reading about this person that just sells famine and tries to make everyone believe that eating air is like the new thing, and like everyone's like starving, but I'm like, how would that work in the real
Hmm.
world? And I did a really good job
Yeah,
of
I
yeah.
like the lavender scented air or whatever.
Yeah,
Just
I like
like
just breathe in the bag, and then yeah,
yeah.
like, I haven't eaten all day.
Yeah,
It's just
like
yeah, I that in my head, I was like, that's so LA. I don't know why. Like that's what I feel like they give as food at the Oscars. And it just
Mhm.
totally was like that really made sense to me. And also the Tibetans that dug the tunnels underground, and
Mhm.
watching them actually do that in the show really helped my mind like be okay, like not okay, but like, oh, this is actually funny. Because when I read it in the book, I was like, oh, like Bugs Bunny popping up out of his
Mhm.
tunnels. Yeah, but like when they actually popped up after he wrecked his car because he saw them, I was like, that's pretty great. So it's like the little scenery parts that helped make
Mhm.
it. That was awesome. That was good. I'm gonna read one of Janae's questions now. She's like, thank
Oh,
goodness,
you
Jen.
have a second for Madam Tracy. Madam Tracy all the way.
Oh yeah, who said that one?
Princess Julie 253.
Ooh. Yeah, Madam. Actually, yeah, Madam Tracy. Okay, this is not one of Janae's questions, but I have to say this. If I was possessed by an angel, one, I don't think they'd stay in there long. But two, I would totally write a book about it and use it if I was a fortune teller. Like, oh no, what do you guys like? If you were possessed by the angel, like she was, would you like go along with it, or do you think you guys would fight it?
Definitely would, I mean, go along with it. He seems like a gentlemanly passenger. He
Mhm.
doesn't seem like a jerk. He seems like he'd be polite in there and not,
Mhm.
like not cross any boundaries or anything. So like as long as he was cool, I'd be like, all
Yeah.
right, let's get up to some wacky hijinks. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Oh, this is a interesting experience and fun adventure and just like trying new things, just like, check mark scuba diving, check mark, bungee jumping, check mark possessed by an angel." It's like just another another cool thing that I did.
Yes,
We were
yes,
all
Right?
exactly.
Madam Tracy.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
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 We didn't know that we were having a stream just full of Madam Tracy's, but there we are.
And then yeah, sure, take that experience and learn from it. And if you want to use it in your psychic business, that's cool. If you want to
Yeah.
write a best-selling book about it, go for it. Like
I like when I was reading the book, I was like, this is so cool because normally you get possessed by a demon, right? And then you're
yeah.
everywhere and then your head spins around. But no, this
Mhm.
angel was very polite
A
and
very
very
polite
nice,
possession.
and
I like
like
that,
gave
yeah.
her some room to be herself and to be the angel.
Mhm. I'm
I thought
sure
she
this
did such a great
I'm
job.
sure this transitions well into one of Janae's questions about
Yeah.
like angels and
Um
demons and like opposite and like
I mean, the book. No, I'm kidding.
expectations. Like,
Actually, as you say that, I found question number 5. Is there such a good thing as good and evil? If so, what's the difference? And how can you know which is which? If not, then how much influence does the idea of these ideological extremes have? I can never say that word right. Ideological. There we go.
Ideological. Yeah, you got it.
Ideological.
Like I'm very firmly a gray area person. I'm not really a person who really sees like things as being really black and white. Usually I think there's a lot of complexities involved in what makes a person do the things they do and make the choices they do. I certainly think there are things that the consequences and of those choices are very evil, and the intentions behind them can be very like evil or malicious, but like yeah, I just don't really see it as like yeah, a black or white issue.
yeah,
Great.
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's like it's like what my mom says is you can do something stupid, that doesn't mean you are stupid. So even if you do a bunch of good things or you do a bunch of evil things, that doesn't necessarily mean you are good or you are evil. And there is a lot that goes into it. And I think that humanity and everything has a lot of shades of gray, and if you look into everybody's behaviors and actions, you can close enough, you can see kind of like you can see their perspective, or like why they made that decision, what their reasoning was. I mean, nobody's thinking like, ah, yeah, well, maybe some people. Very few people are thinking like, I'm going to do this because I'm evil and I want to be evil.
Right. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
they're all just trying to make, most people are trying to make the best decisions with like the tools and resources that they have. So, yeah, and I think the way or how you know which is which is, based on the person's intentions and then the effect it has on the world around them. Is if it's overall good or overall kind of negative. That's kind of how you can tell which shade of gray it is.
Darker gray or lighter gray?
Yeah. I thought you said chocolate gray for a minute, and I was like, that's a
Hey,
really positive way of putting it.
Vanilla gray and chocolate gray.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like chocolate.
Yeah. I
No,
was like, I'm
kidding.
like leaning towards chocolate gray, so
I'm a
Yeah.
caramel gray.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Salted caramel all the time.
Yes. Yes, please.
So this is funny that you opened up with like, well, as my mom says, because I literally had this good and evil conversation with my therapist. And so what my
Really?
therapist says is, basically, because I was talking to her about how, I have good intentions, but of course, you have mistakes that you did in your life, and there was hiccups, and those are the parts we never let go of. And then she basically said the same thing as you guys said, like there's always this gray. There's always, you don't know which way you're going. It just happens. You can be a good person, you're gonna mess up. That's life. You can be, unfortunately, you can be an evil person and you can do good things, but your
Mhm.
good things, usually, because that's what people or the public see, do not always, like, they overshadow your bad evil things. So you could be doing evil things but be doing good things. And yeah, so this book, to me, I think it was just like a big big joke about all of it. It was a joke about the people who do evil things and try to cover it up with the good things, and it was for the people that do that are good and sometimes do bad things, like Newt. He
Mhm.
probably didn't mean to destroy all those computers.
Mhm.
He definitely did it. And Adam Young, he's like the perfect example. He just wanted to be a kid, and
Mhm.
then he almost destroyed the entire world
Like,
with nuclear
oops.
bomb, right? Because he
Right.
had a meltdown. And wow, I'm so glad I wasn't the nanny to have to deal with that kid. But I don't know what I would have done. But I mean, it's those moments that make you realize, like, it's not so black and white.
Mhm.
We all live in this gray area, and I think the book did a really good job at taking turns with each author to show that. I
Mhm.
mean, to me, Terry Pratchett is always going to be the more comical, dry satire that takes it from a darker point of view to make it light. And Neil Gaiman is definitely the guy that goes darker, but is always mean to be light and joyful. Everything I've read from him, even hearing his discussions, like he's just positive but real. And Terry, for a while, towards the end of his life, was fighting cancer. He had a whole bunch of health issues going on, but he always had death. Like, death is one of his biggest characters in this world, and he shows up in this one, and that also made it for me. I know that you guys said that you watched the series before. So, what did y'all think of death? Because, like, in the book, it brings him up because he's deaf, but like watching him visually, I was like, "That's death." Like, how did y'all feel about Death's appearance with the whole end of the world and everyone coming together?
I liked his motorcycle, or I liked all their personalized motorcycles. And in the show and the book, I liked it when he was playing the video game.
Yes.
I was like, that's hilarious. And then like eventually like all the categories are death or whatever. I was like, nice.
Good move, Death. Good move.
Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, I don't remember a lot from the TV show, so I'm trying to remember what I thought of Death. Like I think like I enjoyed the character's appearance, like
You
I
enjoyed
did in the
it in the
book for
book?
sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, in the book, oh yeah, definitely. Like it was interesting to me because he was probably the most like complex of the four horsemen, I think.
Hmm.
Even though he didn't have a lot, like he didn't say a lot or anything, but
Hmm.
his actions, like even simple things like him like carefully throwing something away at the end in a garbage can that pollution probably would have like thrown on the ground, pointedly or whatever. It's just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Death is just always there all the time, and he isn't really evil or bad. He's just doing his thing.
Death, yeah. And that's I know you said you started with The Color of Magic, and Death makes a brief appearance in that, but he's just in, I think, most of the Terry Pratchett books. And again, it's something that like Death is always there, like you said. And in most of the books, he's just this like, I don't know, that's just the way it is.
I'm just
He has,
here. Oh.
yeah, like he has a daughter he adopted from the living world who falls in love with his apprentice. And like there's a whole series of books on that. That in the end, it's always like, it's just the way life is. I have no control. I did love in the book how he was the one staring down at him young when everybody was doing their stare off competition, and he said, "You can't destroy me because you would just destroy everything." And then Adam's like, "Right," and he was like, "Cool," and he just like walked away.
Bye.
Peace out.
I
I
see
got
that.
off of that easy.
I see Taryn's also a big fan of Death. We've got another Death fan here.
Death, yes, Death and Hogfather is amazing and hilarious. Because I know that they've read Hogfather, but yeah, it's so good. So
I like the idea of Death just like sneaking into all the books, like or getting sucked in, just like I was
basically,
having lunch, like it's like I feel like it's out of the author's control, like oh,
so
okay, now there's death in here because that
Yeah.
there's life, life
there's
and death.
yes. So one of and this is not in this book, but in the Witches Abroad, there is a witch who dies. And the thing is, when you are a witch, you know when you're going to die. Like, you know the date because you're just a witch. So you know. And so she had already dug the hole to put her body, and she already had the guy coming by the next day to put her body in the hole. And she was having everything ready. And
Very Agnes Nutter.
yes. So Death shows up, and she's like, "Oh, you're not what I expected." And he's like, nobody does. It's the robes. And she's like, "Would you like some tea?" And he was like, no, we really gotta go. I have a time crunch today. And she's like, "Okay, well, can we at least make sure that like I'm not gruesome or anything for the next person?" And he like helps set up for like
Aww.
this scenario on how I want to die. And I was like, that is the funniest to me, because if there is a Grim Reaper that comes and every person that meets the Grim Reaper is like, "Oh, it's you," dang, well, okay. And then you take off with them.
Yeah.
Like, I want him to be death. I want it to be Terry Pratchett's death really bad. Because at least he'll have like one more mimosa with me, or like one more
Yeah.
song.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the
Understanding.
polite British death.
Casual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Polite. Exactly.
It's just like, yeah, it is what it is.
Oh my gosh. So another one of Janae's hardworking questions is what do you guys think is the main idea behind the novel? And as an English teacher, this is a very good question.
Hmm.
I feel like part of it is just like what we talked about before, is that, angels can act more so like devilish, and devils can act like, do good things, and it's all kind of a gray area, and just you don't know where people are coming from and what they're going through, and just be aware of that, and go through your life and with humor, and hopefully things work out in the end. Like,
Like
Yeah.
a Monty Python skit.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Emerald's trick here, and I'll be like, ditto, same.
I got
I agree.
you.
I agree. But the only thing I would add is just be like the value. It also kind of encompasses just the value of humanity, and the sort of depth and range that humanity has, and kind of the chaos and order, and just all the different aspects that humanity represents, and that like one side, quote unquote, or the other of good or evil doesn't really encapsulate
That's not
everything that
really a
they're
thing.
capable of. Yeah, exactly.
The one thing in the show that was different than the movie that caught my attention was the ending. Because in the book, they kind of just like, they have their good little ending and they go to their favorite little brunch spot that's all
And they're
pink and
like, hopefully they
fancy.
just forget about us and it's all
Yeah, like,
fine, like
but
just
yeah, like whatever. And then in the movie and the series, Crowley goes and does what the angels torture, and then Ezekiel does their torture, which is to be poured with holy water, and he's an
mhm.
angel, and he just takes it. Everyone's
He's
like,
just like,
oh,
ain't no
and they watch it,
thing.
like, don't mess with them, and they're
Yeah.
just able to live their lives. That was a great ending. That was actually really amazing, and I loved that extra touch because sometimes you can add an extra touch, and it's like, but it did also, and one of the reasons why it's like my doomsday books, along with Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is because it just makes us laugh at ourselves as humans. Like, we are hilarious. Like, we get caught in the most trivial things sometimes that do not seem trivial at all, and our brains focus on that, and then in the end, when we take a step back, it's just like you said, everything's just like this big joke, and we're supposed to laugh, and hopefully we have more laughs than crying, and not too many people have Agnes Nutter's book prophecies.
Right. And maybe it wasn't all of as big of a deal as you thought it was, and
Yeah. And you don't have every date predestined for you in there, which was kind of, I mean, she was like, when it showed her in the series as a little girl learning all of the cards, and in the book when it mentioned that she was raised to do this, it kind of made me think of her and the witch hunter had very parallel lives, although they were very opposite. Like, one was raised or trained, I don't even know if he ever went through training, to be a witch hunter. And the other one was the witch, who was trained to learn all these spells and to make sure that the prophecies get fulfilled, or to help if they can with the prophecies. And even said in the book, like, you're the big part of this, so all this rests on you. Like, I mean, I thought that, my parents telling me stuff when I was 12 and it's all my responsibility. I couldn't imagine if my parents were like, well, the world might end, so you have to memorize thousands of spells in case it does.
no pressure.
And then you have to know when it's going to happen. And then you're going to sleep with this random guy.
Yeah.
Yay.
I feel like that's like some MTV reality show. That they like pull back
Yeah.
the curtains and there it is.
Yeah, she turned out surprisingly well adjusted for having like read
Yeah.
at a very young age a book that said you're gonna be there at the end of the world.
Right.
So
And
live with that.
And then the part where I felt bad for Newt because unfortunately I am that tech person that I'm not a tech person. Everything just blows up in my face. Like we got a computer when I was a kid and I was literally taking it apart because we live in the middle of nowhere, so we didn't always have internet. So I'm pretty sure I deleted Explorer and the drive and like everything a few dozen times and crashed our computer at home. And we didn't really have the money to fix it, and there wasn't too many educated people in the house to fix it, so I always had to fix it on my own. I felt Newt to the core. Like
Aw.
he
Newt
was
and Newt
like,
is like a vibe sometimes, like when you feel like you're trying to do things and you're like, ugh, everything I am doing is wrong. Like I'm trying to do the right thing and it just exploded. So, but I just did what the thing said. Like I think that's
yes.
part of what makes him so relatable. It's just like sometimes you're just trying to do all the things the right way and they might just explode for no reason. So,
In the end, you have to do everything the wrong way to make it work.
yeah, there you go.
That's being your own clumsy self. Like you save the world from
Yeah.
being a disaster.
I would have really mixed feelings about that.
Tyler,
Yeah.
Like,
what are
oh,
those
I
feelings?
did good, I guess. I feel like if my clumsiness saved the world, that would be really. I don't know how I would feel. It'd be like, I guess I'd be happy to find out that like I wasn't clumsy for no reason. That there was a purpose to how many times I spill drinks. um, but I would still be a little bit like, oh wow, really? That was my thing.
You could just spill drinks on everything and see if you have another calling that you didn't realize.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
My big clumsy thing is falling downstairs. So
Ooh.
and upstairs. I don't know. Like, and it's not always the most painful thing. Sometimes it's like a light little leap down the stairs. It just happens. And I can't if I'm walking downstairs, just a little tidbit of information. I can't do 2 feet. I have to do like 2 feet at a time. I can't walk downstairs normally because
Ah.
for some reason, like I don't know what it is with the distance. Maybe it's because I have huge feet, but there's something like not right about it. And so I have to go really slow. So if we're like running to the subway, we were in New York, or for that doesn't happen. I get really scared. There's actually a park here where the bridge goes over a highway and you have to go down the stairs when you get to the other side and it goes to a beach. I don't remember what the park's called, but I was okay going up, and then mid bridge, I just stopped in pure frozen panic, and I couldn't move anymore.
Oh
And there's like
no.
4-year-olds passing me and looking at me, and I'm like holding on to the rail and looking over the highway, and so I just start scooching. And
I
Alex
mean,
is
whatever works for you.
He's
Right?
like dying laughing, and I'm like, I can't do it. So, in order for me to save the world, I would have to fall down the stairs.
That's
I can
fine.
relate to that too because I'm also not very good on stairs. I didn't grow up with stairs in most of the
Either.
places I lived, so I just didn't get used to them at a younger age, and so stairs always defeat me.
Stairs are evil, even in video games. Stairs are just. Emerald's like, I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
I'm like, I don't have a stair related story,
Well,
so
I think that was probably enough time on stairs anyways, I
but
suppose.
I do have something that I wanted to say about the end, because I was like, oh, this is something I could say about the ending of the book versus the ending of the series. Like we were talking about, is like the ending of the book because it kind of plays into there is no resolution. It plays into what we were talking about, like, like sometimes you do the right things and stuff explodes. So I was looking back because I did really love the ending of the series, and I was like, oh, that's so clever and fun and like plot twist. But it was like tied up with neatly with a bow, which doesn't really go kind of, I feel like, with the overall message of the book or the main idea or whatever, which is that like things are complicated and messy and it might not go the way you want, and also there might not be like a exact conclusion like a precise wrap things up. It was just kind of like, well, hopefully they don't bother us, let's go have food. Like that's so I think that played in with the main themes. This is what I wanted to say.
That makes sense.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna steal off of you this one time. Go ahead,
Aha.
Christina.
Oh no, that was all. I was just like, yes,
Yes.
agree.
Yeah, I agree with you because, and that was the one thing I was shocked when they said that they were doing a Good Omens too, because in the book it makes sense. Like if you wanted to do a series off of the book, you totally could, because it
Yeah.
does leave you with that kind of
Really?
feeling. Yeah.
Just like a big question mark, right? Like
Yeah. And
unfinished
but in
business.
this series, it's like, well, angels don't want to touch them and the demons now don't want to touch them. Like, how are they gonna get involved with them again? And I don't like it, just doesn't seem as flowing to me as the book did with the ending.
Yeah.
I think that maybe they didn't even think they would do it too. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that surprises me. I didn't. I that was my first time hearing that they were gonna do part 2 on Good Omens, the show. And yeah, in the book they said like there was like an afterword in at least in the copy I was reading, and they were kind of like, yeah, we kind of tossed that idea around, but we just didn't. They pretty much were pretty like we just weren't feeling it. Like it didn't really. We didn't see where we were gonna go from there, and obviously they never did go back to it. So that surprises me. Oh, you're
as
cutting. Oh,
well.
there you
Oh,
go.
sorry.
It just cut for a second. Yeah, go ahead.
I was surprised about the second as well, and I actually had to do some research into it. And it turns out like they did write a second together, because I was
Or
worried
an
it was going to
outline
be
or something,
or an
right? Like they
outline.
had basic
Yeah,
idea together
and they did it in a hotel room here in Seattle after
Hey.
the
at a
conference.
Comic-Con,
Yeah,
right?
it was like after, and they both had jet lag. So it's going to be great. Jet lag,
Yeah, it's
two
gonna be
people funny.
amazing.
One of them was drunk. Like, this is going to be amazing. But I was really like, I just really would hope, and I think he will, that Gaiman would just appreciate and love Pratchett enough to put him as equal in the second as he would have
Yeah.
been and as he was in the first, because
Yeah,
both of them together for me is what made
is what
made
makes
it.
it so good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was like worried when I first found out there was going to be a second series, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. There's not a second book. Like what about Terry Pratchett?" And so hearing that they had like had ideas and had like a general outline and stuff about it made me feel a lot better about the
It
project.
was like a little cozy blanket for me.
Yeah, it's like so soothing.
Because I mean I feel like it works so well, because as much as they're similar, they're so different too, and that's what made it work. And as I don't know, were you guys able to tell when you read the book who wrote what part?
Oh, I really couldn't tell, but I was kind of just absorbed in the narrative, so I wasn't really thinking about it too much. And I haven't had that much exposure to either one of them. I've read like I've read like 2 books by Neil Gaiman and 1 book from Terry Pratchett, I think, and so I don't have a taste for their tone yet. But so I didn't quite.
I do like on the covers though, if you get the two different covers, it kind of looks like them. It's like
Time telling them apart, as someone that read, but like even if I hadn't have read, I still would have had a hard time, because it just flowed so brilliantly, and they knew each other. So like I felt like it was just like two best friends writing a book about life, because what is life, what is this good versus evil, what is an angel and what is a devil, and they came up
yes.
with this and it worked, and that's what I was so hoping would still be in the second one. I
I
still
I
hope.
I see that Taryn also commented the book was like a smoothie of each style. I feel you can taste the individual flavors, but it blended together really well. And I
Strawberry and
think that's
banana.
true.
That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
statement for Tara.
Yeah, it is. It's true. It's exactly it though. It's like,
Yeah.
it wasn't either one of them. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is clearly distinctly
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman. And I think some of that's because they were writing it for each other, because they said like one of them would write half of the thing, and they would send it to the other one and try to make the other one laugh.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that changed it, said it was that smoothie.
Yeah.
A good funny smoothie. made by
Funny
Team
smoothie.
Terry. A perfect smoothie. We give it
Mhm.
10 out of 10 smoothies, 10 out of 10 pancakes.
Mhm.
What's next?
Well,
All
and
the breakfast foods, 2 scones.
and it also like it made me happy that it was something that Neil Gaiman had written like the first part of it and been like, I don't know where to go from here. Do you have any ideas? And sent it to Terry, and that Terry knew where to go from there, because I was like, oh, I wish I had a Terry Pratchett, because I'm really good at starting things. I can start an idea. Finishing things is not my strong suit in terms of books and writing. So yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
With you 100% on that. Like I could have lots of ideas, but to get those ideas going, I need like somebody else.
I know, it's like that nice, like, you need somebody to bounce ideas off of, and like,
Yeah. And they'll be like, cool, we could do this. And they bounce the idea. And you're like, this is perfect. Yeah.
yeah, and then when they get stuck, you could be like, oh, well, what if blah blah blah, you know.
And then when all is spills, here comes death.
Right.
Oh, but no, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you guys did this, like the book club too, with this, because like it was fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun to
Yeah.
reread it, because like the first time I had read it was just like right after I watched the series, so just to go back to it and be like, oh yeah, this is really good.
Is, and I think that's one of those like when I'm just like feeling too into like everything around me, like putting it like and reading it. I also have it on Audible. Like
Mm.
it's just, and Neil does the Audible like
Ooh.
intros, and then like there's different, yeah. I mean his voice is just amazing, period. So
Yeah.
That is true.
I highly recommend anytime you guys want to read a Neil Gaiman book to get it, because in Audible he reads his own books. So
Mhm.
yes, which is really great for the Norse mythology one, because that one's
Yeah.
like
Ooh. Oh yeah, and ocean at the end of the lane.
I wanted to
His
do that one
narration
for
on
a book
that,
club. Oh
so
yeah,
good.
I listened
that
to the
is
beginning of that one, and I was like, the beginning of it is so intense in terms of like you have to live, there's a lot of like childhood like
Mhm.
trauma and stuff happening there, so like I kind of lapsed on it, and I need to go and check it back out from the library again, but I did love his narration. It
it,
was incredible.
Yeah.
it's one of those books where I had to pause it for a second and then like redo it, especially on definitely some scenes where they come up. But then the more you get into the like, the more yeah. We'll have to do that for a book club one time, because that's such a good book. That's
Yeah.
such a good book. But speaking of book club, did you
We
guys
have
have
30
anything?
pancakes. Do the
With,
jump says hooray, 30 pancakes for
woo,
book club.
Yay.
Yay! That's quite the stack.
yeah, and not all of them are Neil Gaiman space.
Paired it nicely with a smoothie.
Oh yeah, and 2 scones. So we're great for vegans, by the way. Um, so our next book club is November. I forgot the actual date of November, but it is in November, and it's going to be the Lost Boy, which is a really awesome. I've been wanting to read that book for a while. Have you guys heard of this book?
No.
Just
It's
in
a
our discussion.
it's a very twisted Peter Pan twisted story of the Lost Boy. I highly like. I've read the other books by the author, Christina Henry, really good. Yeah, you guys should read it. I hope you come back for that one, because that
Add it
one's
to
gonna
my
be really good.
TBR.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. I just got it on Audible, so I'm like, so yes, I wish we had like a book club where we could just talk about the Lord of the Rings too, but that'll be like days. It's like at the end of the year book club. And then on Thursday, this upcoming Thursday, for all you dwarves out there, they're gonna do Deep Rock Galactic, and you're a dwarf and you mine, and yeah, dwarves. Um,
Dwarf mining.
yeah,
It's pretty fun.
it sounds fun. Actually, someone told me about that, because Alex is a dwarf. Like everything we play, he's a dwarf, and I'm always a gnome. But for Halloween, he's gonna be Gimli, and I'm gonna be Legolas. And I'm just gonna walk
What?
around telling him how many drinks I've had instead of how many dead bodies. It's
Nice.
gonna be awesome.
I like it.
When when you said that it was dwarf mining, so it says I've never played it. I was like, are you mining for dwarfs?
Just chip them on out. Chip
Just
them on
like,
out of the wall.
yeah,
Out of
I
the
mean,
mine walls, here comes the dwarf.
that'd be fine. I'd be fine with that.
Yes, and that would go with Terry Pratchett's idea of dwarfs in a lot of his books.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Well, thank you guys.
Plus
yeah, we're
one,
gonna
Lord
be
of the
doing the
Rings.
raid. We're gonna do
Like,
the
Oh yeah, raid time.
raid time.
What are we raiding, Christina?
It looks like I'm not sure if this is secret knowledge yet or not. But there we go. There it is. We're raiding Charadamo. So everybody in this chat will be pouring directly into their stream. Please go and show them your support.
It says she's also doing geeky things. Local streamer in Seattle, and tonight she's streaming an alchemy game. So
we went from alchemy and then dwarves, mining.
It totally connects.
I've connected it.
Okay, so here's a mind-blowing connect. In a Terry Pratchett book, there is a dwarf who does alchemy for the guards of the city of Arkmorport.
Wow, that was brilliant. All right,
nailed it. Nailed it. You have my bow.
Oh, thank you everyone for coming and nerding out with us.
It was so great to reread this book and talk about it with you guys and everybody in chat.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thanks for playing along with the pancakes.
Yes.
We bought in on those pancakes.
Yeah, that's our new scale for rating everything.
Oh yeah.
Everyone have a good night. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.